Hey guys, so the other day I hit a pretty big benchmark on the GT4. I hit 30,000 kilometers, which I believe is actually the highest kilometer car in Canada for 718 GT4s. Probably in the top 10 highest in North America. I've only seen one other one that had more. But yeah, let me tell you about how the 30,000 kilometers went and what I think of the car so far. Okay, so here it is, 30,000 kilometers in just about a year and a little bit of ownership. To be fair, about 10,000 of that was on a cross-country road trip in the US, but the car honestly still looks almost brand new. I mean, it's dirty because that's my fault. I don't really clean it too often. But yeah, so let's start with my main complaints is the wheels, which are kind of my fault because I swapped them with one of my friends and I get the gold wheels. I originally had black, but because I have the regular brakes, not carbon ceramics, the brake dust is brutal. So you can see, I cleaned it the other day and it's already covered. And the other problem with these brakes is they squeak a crazy amount. But other than that, the only really complaint that I might have about the car, but honestly I don't really mind it, is here. The exhaust. So everybody kind of knows Cayman, or even Porsches in general, unless you do something to the exhaust, they're not going to sound that great. So this car kind of sounds like a vacuum cleaner. The exhaust on quiet mode right now, there's a slightly louder mode, but it's not a huge difference. But yeah, those are kind of my only complaints. But the car, you know, after 30,000 kilometers, which is not a lot for a regular car, but for a car like this with only 1 year really of driving it, it's quite a bit. The car still looks, other than the fact that it's dirty, looks brand new, feels brand new, and drives exactly the same as it did when I first got it. Now, the interior was held up pretty well. It's my fault that the car is insanely dirty, but the good thing is I put these winter mats on. I put the regular ones at my house because I knew I'm going to destroy them, so better to destroy these ones. But the seats and everything over 30,000 kilometers have held up very, very nicely. Okay, now I got this random car mount here and I'm going to mount it somewhere on the windshield and we'll go for a drive and I'll talk to you about how the car is. Okay, so 30,000 kilometers. What do I think of the car? Honestly, it's kind of everything I would have expected it to be. A lot of people have been complaining, obviously, that the gearing is very long and, you know, you don't get to change the gears, but honestly, I don't drive this car hard. I think if you're planning to drive this car hard, kind of on a daily basis, that's how you drive, this might not be the car for you, just because you don't have full power kind of whenever you need it. But again, if I was trying to buy a car for the sake of getting a ton of power, I probably would have bought a GTR for the same price range. Honestly, even a little less and saved some money. But what I kind of want out of this is something that this car delivers perfectly is, I wanted a car, and I constantly say this, that is gonna feel special. I don't want a car that when I drive it, I'm gonna feel like I'm driving any other car, which is the same reason why personally, I don't think anytime soon I'm going to be getting something like an M, an AMG, or an RS Audi, because I feel like in those cars it's so similar to a regular car that you would use for your daily commute that, like, what's the point of spending that money on your fun car? I like this because, look, you get the carbon bucket seats. So the carbon bucket seats were a make it or break it deal for me, and I got them, and I honestly, you could kind of say I bought the car for the seats. And then you get this Alcantara steering wheel. I really like how this specific car is optioned. I have all the options to make it look more like, you know, a sports car, something special than a regular car. But yeah, so that's my overall feel of the car. I really like it. I'm very satisfied with it. And another good thing is, before this, when I had my Mustang, I always kind of thought, oh, maybe I'll get something a little nicer. Maybe I'll, you know, I don't know, upgrade to something. I've had this now for over a year, and the thought of upgrading to a nicer car honestly is not even in my mind, for several reasons. This is just kind of perfect for the way I drive and what I like to do with my car. And also, I put, again, 30,000 kilometers. I put a ton of kilometers on my car. I drive it whenever the weather is decent and it might be doable to drive. I'm driving this car. So if I were to get something like even a GT3 or anything that's a little bit more expensive than this, I'd think about every kilometer that I'm putting on the car, and I just feel guilty, and I feel like I'm just devaluing the car so much. Whereas this, I know the first gen GT4s, people will have them at 200,000 kilometers, I think even 300,000 kilometers. And, you know, as long as you do your services, the car is going to work, and it's not as expensive a car for the depreciation hit to be as big. So yeah, I absolutely love that, because again, I drive so much that, you know, I can't afford a Ferrari or anything like that right now, but let's say I had a Ferrari 458, I wouldn't feel right with myself just racking on kilometers non-stop. And with this, I'm happy that it wants me to do that. And that kind of leads me on to servicing costs. Servicing costs of this car they're not cheap, but they're not expensive. So a regular service and oil change, if you go at like a Porsche dealership, is about $600 Canadian. So I don't know, that's about $450, $500 US. And that's just for the oil change. Every other service is a little bit more expensive, so you're gonna add like, you know, brake fluid, alignment, whatever it is you need. So far my most expensive service was $1,700, but that's not bad, because honestly the car just works all the time. I don't have to kind of be a little careful, or can I take this car that far? Am I gonna be scared that maybe something's gonna go wrong on me? Like, again, I drove this car from California back to Toronto with a few detours on the way. You know, middle of the desert in Nevada, I was never nervous about the car not working. And again, when I drive so much in a car like this, I really needed to be very reliable and work. I honestly, like, my daily is a Volvo C30. I've spent more money maintaining that car in the last year and a half than I have this car since I've owned it. And keep in mind, I only put in the last year, I don't know, 6,000, 7,000 kilometers on that Volvo, and it's caused me a lot more problems that this thing has, and to fix it, honestly, it's not much cheaper. And another reason I'm really happy with 30,000 kilometers on this car, and this car in general, is the way the market's been going. When I got this car, I got in the brief window of time where people are still kind of unsure of what the COVID market's going to do to these cars, and it was the middle of winter. So the MSRP on this specific car is 138 Canadian. I got it for 129 with 1,700 kilometers. My thinking when I got the car is, you know, I know myself, I don't have the self-control to not drive a car, to keep the kilometers low, only take it out once in a while. I'm going to be driving this thing as much as I possibly can. So I was just kind of hoping that my payments are going to be in line with the depreciation of the car, and I put a ton of money down, so I was kind of hoping that's going to be a little buffer there, and if I ever need to sell it, get some money back, I'll always have a little bit of equity. What actually happened is, since I bought the car just climbed up in value, to the point where now on Auto Trader here in Canada, the cheapest car available is almost a twin to this car, actually. Black wheels, no carbon fiber trim on the interior, I think it has like around 10,000 kilometers, and they're asking 158 for that car. And that car is, yeah, it's a little less low than mine. And then there's a car that's a little bit more low than mine with carbon ceramic brakes that has 18,000 kilometers, and they're asking the same price, almost 160,000. Now, obviously, I'm realistic. I know my kilometers are a lot higher, but I still think my car, I can sell it for 145, 150, which, and not only did I get to drive a GT4 for pretty much free, I put 30,000 kilometers on it, and if I sell it now, I'm going to get back, you know, at least $15,000 more than I paid on it, which is, my equity on this would just be huge. But honestly, I like this car so much that I can't see myself getting rid of it. Not now, not in the near future, maybe not ever. It's one of my favorite cars I've ever driven. It's so perfectly balanced that even if you don't drive it fast, just feeling the car move around, and it's enough to satisfy me of driving the car. And it's so practical. I get a trunk in the back, a trunk in the front. I can go on road trips. I did that US road trip. I'm going to go to Montreal for Formula One. Everything's very doable with the car. And yes, it has carbon bucket seats, but honestly, they're not bad. I've been in the Lambo bucket seats. The Lambo bucket seats are horrible. I would also get them if I got a Lambo, but they're not comfortable. I honestly drive this car when the weather's decent every single day. Zero back problems. Just honestly amazing seats, amazing interior, very functional. You know, I have Apple CarPlay, I have everything I could possibly need in a car like this. So honestly, 30,000 kilometers on this car feels like I'm still at 5,000, 10,000. The car is perfect. It's exactly the same way as when I bought it. I don't feel any change in the performance, any change in the quality of the car. As you can hear, I'm sure you can hear that my brakes are, honestly, my main complaint is the brakes. They squeak like crazy, and I get it, that's just how the brakes are, but it's just kind of annoying. But yeah, honestly, I'm I'm gonna get this thing to 100,000 kilometers at least. I'm gonna go buy an extended warranty, and I'm gonna just drive it non-stop. I don't see this car like starting to break on me anytime soon. I've driven 911s that have, you know, close to 200,000 kilometers on them, and they feel brand new, they feel perfect. Depreciation isn't gonna hit this car too hard because the people that are buying these cars know that they're not gonna go bad with high kilometers. So you take less of a depreciation hit than if you were to put these kilometers on something like an R8. But yeah, overall, honestly, couldn't be happier with the car. I'm gonna keep driving as much as I possibly can. Keep getting the kilometers up there. I'll probably finish the year like 45,000 kilometers. I don't have too many big trips, and I'm not bringing it to Car Week this year, so it's gonna save me a ton of kilometers. But I'm gonna keep driving whenever I can, and I'll keep you guys updated on my ownership experience with the car, my service costs. So far, nothing really crazy. Easiest car ownership I've ever had, except for the slightly high payments. But yeah, that's my overall experience. I highly recommend this car if you guys just like to feel around in a nice, like, fun handling car. Super reliable, great kind of starter. I don't want to say supercar, but like high-end sports car. But yeah, that's kind of everything I gotta say about the car. If you guys like this type of video, let me know, because these are kind of my favorite types of videos to watch. I like a video when someone just goes for a drive and talks about whatever topic. Like, my favorite channels are curated, which is, you know, a lot of times he just goes out for a drive in a car. Salamandra back in the day when he used to do the Let's Talk About Cars video, I love that. So if you guys want to see more of this, not even necessarily just about my car, but new cars that come out, just random topics in the car world, let me know, and I love making these types of videos. It's very easy, and I get to go drive my car a little bit more. So I definitely want to make more content like this. And yeah, I think we'll do some videos soon. I'll do some more stuff with the 918 once it's out of service. And yeah.